I am the district superintendent for Traver Joint Elementary School. I want to just give a special thank you and welcome to our distinguished Governor Newsom. So we want to thank you for coming out, and also for my distinguished guest as well who is here. On behalf of the community of Traver and Traver School, we want to welcome you to our community. We're very proud of what we've been doing here, and to have you to kind of just show you around, and the distinguished guests as well. I'm very honored to do that. So thank you for being here. Governor Newsom just had a great time with some of my students. He's very affable with them. They made him laugh. So I think you have some teacher in you. If you ever want to become a teacher, just get that multiple subject credential and give me a call. So, yeah. So, with pleasure, I'm going to introduce the gentleman who's following me. I've gotten to know him, and we got plans to continue to do great things in Traver and elsewhere. So let's, up next is Supervisor Eddie Valero.
Thank you, Superintendent Ramirez. Dear Governor, welcome to the heart of California, that is Tulare County. Our county and the entire Central Valley truly connects the north to the south. And today's announcement further illustrates the need for greater connectivity that reaches every part of the state for the betterment of our children, our families, and our communities. Today, the governor and the state of California are making a massive investment for the future of education, for the future of unserved and underserved areas, for the future of businesses, and the future of connected communities across the state. Why? Because connectivity is vital and important. As we've witnessed, the internet is no longer a luxury, and instead has become a necessity for all Californians. Yes, all Californians. This pandemic has only deepened this divide, as I witness my colleagues in education rush to find the nearest support system in order to meet the needs of students and standards by the state. As Dr. Pedro Noguera, he's the Dean of the School of Education at the University of Southern California, states, if we look at the data of who is unconnected to the internet, it is very similar to which kids are the most academically behind. These also happen to be the children who are attending the least resource schools. And yes, sadly, there is a correlation. However, today is a new day, and today is a better day because of what we are witnessing this morning. Thank you to the governor and the state of California for your commitment and investment in network infrastructure that will continue to build on equity and opportunity for all. Change is coming, and it starts with the action set before you, the governor, today. So thank you, Governor. And now, I'd like to introduce my colleague from the county of Monterey, and that is Luis Alejo.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you to my good friend, Eddie Valero. From the Central Coast to the beautiful Central Valley, it's an honor to be here with our esteemed governor and these wonderful state and local leaders. I am Monterey County Supervisor Luis Alejo. I'm on the executive board of the California State Association of Counties and the Latino Caucus of California Counties. Closing the digital divide is a moral imperative and a major civil rights issue of our time. But today, California is showing the world that we are committed to ending these insidious digital inequities once and for all. It was heartbreaking to see our students huddled at fast food restaurants, like the photo of the two little girls in my district in East Salinas last August, because it was the only place they could access the internet for their classes. The pandemic showed us how critical modern broadband access is to education, health, economic opportunities, and equity. It is now just as essential to modern life as electricity or running water. Yet as we stand here today, nearly 15.4 million Californians are stuck in one provider monopolies, and another 2.3 million have absolutely no access to high-speed broadband. In fact, the community's members most adversely impacted are low-income, Black, Latino, Indigenous, and disabled Californians, But Governor Newsom and our legislative leaders have taken bold and historic steps to address these inequities in this $6 billion package. And the open access infrastructure will pave the way for lower rates, higher speeds, and better customer service. CSAC is proud to sponsor this measure along with our other local government groups, including RCRC, who's here today, Urban Counties, the League of Cities, the California School Boards Association, but also other key partners such as California Forward, NextGen, the Fresno State Office of Economic Development, the Emerging Technologies Fund, and the Electronic Frontier Foundation. My good friend Ernesto is here as well. Local governments and organizations are the best partners with state leaders in this bold and courageous endeavor. We know that the hardest work of implementation is still ahead, but we are committed to another California success story. Lastly, I not only applaud the vision and leadership of our governor and the speaker and the president pro tem, but also Assembly members Eduardo Garcia, Murasuchi, Santiago, Aguiar Curry, and Senators Lina Gonzalez and Caballero that are here with us today. Our future generations will look back at this very day, and history will forever record que si se pudo, it could be done. Thank you very much, and now I want to introduce my good friend, Assemblymember Cecilia Aguiar Curry from the Napa and Yolo Counties region. Thank you.
I need to take a deep breath because this is an incredible day. Thank you, Governor. Thank you for this generational investment in closing the digital divide. This would not be possible without your leadership. After more than a dozen years of fighting, beginning as a mayor of the city of Winters, I am thrilled that we are committing ourselves to providing vital internet infrastructure for many Californians who've been left behind. We stand here, you guys, to celebrate. We should be so excited for today. Governor Newsom, you have been helping us deliver life-changing services to our children, our school children, our workers who need online education, those in need for health care through telehealth, and access to small businesses to the digital economy. It has been an honor to work with my colleagues. Senator Lina Gonzalez, thank you so much. Senator Caballero, thank you so much. In this legislature, this is a very critical issue, as we all know, and I appreciate the leadership from our Assembly Speaker and Senator Pro Tem in this accomplishment. With this groundbreaking piece of legislation, our policy companions in AB 14, SB 4, SB 28, we will deliver broadband infrastructure to California's most vulnerable and opening the door for all of you, for local governments and tribal governments, to provide connectivity in your own communities. Communities just like Traver. It is my distinct pleasure to witness the governor's signing of the bill that will transform lives and provide internet for all. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce my colleague, Senator Ana Caballero.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. First, let me thank the superintendent for opening your school and giving us the opportunity to meet here today. It's been great to meet some of the kids and to have an opportunity to visit. I want to thank Governor Newsom for inviting me to join you all here today and for his incredible leadership. Nearly 5 years ago, I chaired a legislative committee about economic investment and development in rural California. And when I created the committee, I thought that the pathway to grow rural economies would be to increase tourism dollars through hotel stays and the development of small businesses. But it became quickly very clear there was not the lack of tourists coming to rural California, to rural communities. It was a far more simple thing, which was the lack of broadband. It was the inability of high school kids to take advanced placement classes, with a long drive that senior citizens still had to make to keep medical appointments or to fill their prescriptions. It was the fact that rural businesses could not sell their goods or easily rent out hotel rooms to a worldwide market. Still today, over 45% of rural California lacks access to true high-speed internet. Most rural residents have maybe one or two internet service providers to choose from, and that's common across the entire state. This is a complete lack of competition that has led to confusing, high, and uncompetitive pricing schemes and that is created the lack of opportunity for high-speed rural broadband. Today, California is flipping the script. With this investment in broadband, Californians can hope to free themselves from the exorbitant costs that come from monopolistic markets. Without waiting for the federal government to reclassify broadband as an essential service, like a utility as vital as water or energy, California is showing the pathway forward. California is, we're incredibly, and it took an incredibly unfortunate global pandemic to show us that we can no longer wait to secure high-speed internet. Last year, people got up, turned on the water to brush their teeth, turned on some electricity to brew a pot of coffee, and then turned on their broadband to go to work, go to school, or to make a doctor's appointment, or to sell or buy a product. But for some, that last action became a frustrating routine of turning internet modems off and on, refreshing internet browsers, opening and closing applications, waiting for the little circle on their device screen to stop swirling and for something to happen. Well, something is going to happen. The state is going to make broadband infrastructure a priority, and to do it today. As our great governors have delivered on vital infrastructure before to build a state water project and the electrical capacity through the California Independent System Operator, so too is Governor Newsom delivering today for broadband. This is not a short-term fix. It is not going to be an immediate internet connection at a discount, but this is the beginning, a new business model for providing broadband in California. All of California will do better when all California is connected to real high-speed internet. The state's golden broadband network is for all Californians. Thank you, Governor, for having the courage to take on the powerful cable and telco lobbyists and to refuse to accept the status quo, to recognize that broadband is a vital, essential service for all of us. As Californians, adults, and children, we will all benefit from this important investment. Thank you so much for your courage, for your independence, and for your ability to create a team that includes all of the people that you see here today to make this a reality. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce a great colleague that has been working really hard on this issue in the Senate, and that's my good friend, Senator Lina Gonzalez from Long Beach.
Thank you. I think a lot of what I wanted to say has been said before, but I will say it has been. But that's okay. We're very passionate about this issue. In fact, many of us have been working on this issue far before the days of the pandemic. We've been working on these issues for decades. I remember being a Long Beach City Council member, knowing in Long Beach, South Los Angeles, we have, in fact, hundreds of thousands of kids that have lack internet access. And if they do have internet access, it's very slow speeds, very slow speeds. Today is our time to turn the curve, to say the $6 billion investment will mean everything for rural California, Southern California, urban California, and everywhere in between, suburban California as well. Every single part of the state will be touched with these dollars. This investment is huge. It's an infrastructure investment for our kids and our future. I have a 6-year-old at home, and telling him that mommy had to go to Central Valley, California to talk about broadband and internet, he thought everyone had internet access. He didn't know. He has no idea. So I had to talk about, why it was so important that mom was up here talking to our governor about why kids like him and his friends back at school in Long Beach Unified School District, why they deserve internet too. Mommy, it's important. People apply for jobs, yes. It's important for housing. It's important for health equity. It's important for all those reasons. And even our 6-year-olds care so much about it. That's all they know these days. So I want to thank the governor for really putting the team together, as mentioned, for ensuring that you have, our promise that we will deliver. We still have more work to do in the legislature, but knowing that every single part of this district, or I'm sorry, this state of California will be touched because we have put that effort forward. And now you have incredible women at the table, Assemblymember Aguiar Curry, Senator Caballero, and myself, who've been leading these efforts for broadband for all. And so I want to thank you as well for being incredible partners, for saying that regardless of zip code, regardless of socioeconomic status, that you deserve internet too. And with that, I'd like to thank our governor and bring him up. It's our Broadband for All governor, Governor Newsom.
Thank you, Senator. And by the way, women rule. And that's pretty demonstrable with this announcement. Three extraordinary leaders that weren't going to take no for an answer. And I can assure you, they didn't do justice, but I appreciate they hinted at the challenge and difficulty of getting this done, which is just remarkable. We've been talking about the digital divide. We've been talking about the lack of broadband access for a greater part of our lives, some living a little longer. And yet you just sit there and wonder what the hell's wrong with us. We can't get it done. Forgive the language. But it's frustrating because it's so foundational to the world we're living in and the opportunities that present themselves every single day that are not present in every community every single day because they lack that fundamental basic access. There's nothing that distinguishes the kids at Traver Elementary from the kids down there in Palo Alto. Nothing except opportunity. Not inherently born a coder because you grew up in Silicon Valley versus the Central Valley. It's about opportunity. It's about access. It's about familiarity. And that's what this is about. And what a special day this is as well. We were just talking to the kids. I was inspired. I hope others were inspired as well by that quality of imagination that allows men and women to go to space. The oldest woman ever to go to space, and youngest men to ever go to space today. Space and back. And that avails itself to everybody that has a similar quality imagination and the tools of technology that help connect ideas and idealism together. And so that's the inspiration we bring to this moment. Yes, it's a utility, which can connote something in the distant past, but it's a utility to connect to the future. In modern telehealth and medicine, the opportunity to imagine anew and reimagine a business idea, to connect in ways that you couldn't have imagined connecting. And so the issue of access and equity, those are the two words that bring us here today, and the spirit is that next generation that will be the beneficiaries of this historic landmark investment. It wasn't easy because, unfortunately, we have a system where we incentivize bad behavior, where people are rewarded for not doing the right thing but the easy thing because, let's be honest, there was a lot of money to be made by not doing what we're doing today. A lot of people have done extraordinarily well themselves because they have advanced a cause that hasn't advanced the collective cause. And I really appreciate the Senator and Assemblywoman, Senators and Assemblywoman, you pick up on what they said. There were real interests that didn't want to see this happen this year again. And we persevered because of them. They were not going to take no for an answer. And so I'm incredibly grateful to you guys. And it wasn't even easy with your colleagues, let's be honest. We weren't just dealing with external interests. You know, we were talking, 7 days ago, and we weren't sure we were going to get this done. So it's just, forgive us. The reason we're enthusiastic, perhaps disproportionately so, is this was not easy. But there's 6 billion reasons to be proud. Middle mile, last mile, the loan loss funding, technical term, just basically means some subsidies to local government and tribal governments to help support their efforts. More work to be done, unquestionably, in the lifeline and dealing with long-term cost considerations. But this is at scale, something we've been dreaming of, and we're finally here. Let me close by also thanking the President of the United States, because had it not correctly been this pandemic that induced a response in terms of a stimulus, and I don't know, they took courage for people to support that bill, but not everybody did. Not every elected official did. But for those elected officials that supported that federal appropriation, thank you. I'm here in Tulare County because of them. I'm here because the vast majority of the $6 billion is coming from the federal government, because we did have enough elected officials that had the courage to have the backs of the people in this county and the people across the state of California. We matched that support federally with state general fund surplus dollars to make the investment that we're making here today. So on behalf of a grateful state, I extend my appreciation to the United States, the White House, and Congress for their support as well of this important endeavor. So with that, I don't know that I could possibly fill in any more blanks that were not filled in. And by the way, supervisors, thank you for not only your enthusiasm, but your incredible faith and devotion to this cause as well, and always putting the lens of equity in all its forms and manifestations as it relates to racial, ethnic, as well as rural and urban equity front and center. I see Brooklyn with 2 N's, by the way. My daughter has 2 N's. There are only like 2 Brooklyns in the world with 2 N's. And I see all her colleagues and classmates, and they're going to come up and they're going to help us sign this important piece of legislation. Why don't y'all come in? Look at you guys. Are you going to come stand behind us, behind the desk?
All right, yeah.
Cassandra, Lena,
Okay. All right. All right. I need you all to just help me. Do you know how to do a G? You know how to do a G, right? Well, look, there's letters right there. So just put G. Just you do G. Just one G. You gotta sign this. I told you. You guys thought I was joking when I said you gotta sign this legislation? Okay. Thank you. Can you do an A? Unbelievable. Look at you guys are so good. Oh my gosh. Who wants to do a V? He's like an expert in V's. You know how to do a V? We'll just do the first name, so I know everyone's doing the math, like, what are we here forever? Who wants to do an I? You want to do that I? Oh gosh. Unbelievable. These are perfect. Look at all this capitalized letters. Do you want to do an N? All right, let's do it. And that will help me, because the first name I have a hard time with sometimes when I sign it. My last name, though, I remember. All right? So you guys do this, and then, what's my last name? I know, this is, trust me, this is an issue. We have to, but that's okay, I understand. Some people want to forget my last name. All right, let's try this. Very well, girls. We're here, let's smile. That's your pen. It is yours. Thank you. Thank you. Amazing. All right, Brooklyn, you want to take questions? Can I help us take questions? Thank you, guys. We're going to come back up to the mic real quick. Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Becky. Thank you. All right. The kids walk out. Of course, we're here to answer any questions. And again, thanks all for taking the time to be here. And by the way, I just want to make a point. And Mr. Superintendent, thank you for being here. You know, we're at a school because of the superintendent's leadership that has fiber. But the superintendent noted just across the street, people are still using dial-up. This says it all. This point of contrast, point of leadership as well. It didn't have to be that way, but he committed to the cause of providing that high-quality download here at this remarkable school. So I just want to acknowledge you and thank you as well. Please.
Good afternoon. I know that you're mentioning that this is the first step in creating better access for all. How long do you feel like it's going to be before they can actually take advantage of this change?
Yeah, so we've been talking about that over the next few years. There'll be iterations in terms of building out that middle mile and then working to get those final miles, that last mile done. About $2 billion, by the way, is set aside for the last mile, billion minimum for rural California, and then the local support. So it's going to be a combination of factors. It's going to be zoning, land use issues. It's going to be issues as it relates to leadership at the local level, the tribal level, and then efforts at the state level to continue to draw down more federal support. Our hope and expectation in order to fast track this over the next few years is that the next round of infrastructure talks also includes additional resources for broadband, which would help us finalize this effort. But we think we can substantially get there with this effort. We have now built an organization and governance structure and oversight structure that will fill in the blanks and be able to answer more specifically what the measurables are and the timelines are, and that will start to take shape over the next number of months.
One more other question. Given the Delta variant and some counties bringing back mask mandates, are you considering a statewide mask mandate returning?
Well, we'll see. Look, at the end of the day, the epidemiology, the spread, the variants make that determination. On the basis of the Delta concerns you saw in the United States now, over 80% of all the strains now, the Delta strain was just, I think July 3rd, they announced it broke 50%. Just like that, it's over 80%. In California, we are sequencing, of the genomes we sequenced in July, it's a little over 60% already. It was less than 10% not that many weeks ago. So we're very mindful of that, and we are being cautious in terms of our strategies and considerations. Let me give you a specific. The answer to the Delta variant is rather simple. Get vaccinated. We don't have to have masking if we all got vaccinated. We don't have to worry about being back this fall in in-person instruction if we all get vaccinated. We don't have to ever worry about this disease again. In literally weeks, quite literally weeks, if we resolve as Californians to end this pandemic, we could substantially do that as it relates to the impacts that it has on your lives and the anxiety that isn't induced. We wouldn't have to be talking about small business interruptions. We wouldn't have to be talking about all of the related issues you're seeing around the world, not just across the country, and have experienced here in the state of California. So the message is get vaccinated. As we know, and I know it's almost rote and cliched because it's become redundant in terms of the expression, but this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And so if you care about getting back to normalcy once and for all, please get vaccinated. We've made it easier than ever. It's free. We don't ask your immigration status. We're doing pop-up and mobile sites. We're moving from stationary sites to mobile sites substantially. We now have close to 500 community-based organizations we partnered with. We've extended the contracts. We've actually accelerated those investments. We're announcing today, I previewed it yesterday, that we're working with small physician networks. Talk about trusted messengers. We need to connect with small, rural and urban, but rural doctors and neighborhoods large and small. And we are putting $40 million up for a grant program to support that network, to provide more points of access and more points of information. The biggest issue now is the misinformation that continues to be spread by many, many, many sources. And we have to work hard against that. But right now, we're monitoring things. California continues to outperform in vaccinations. Among the top vaccinated states in America, 76.6% of all adults have received at least one dose. And we have more work to do. Lassen County's at 21%. Marin's at 86%. So we have disparities within the state. Tulsa's at 47%, below the state average. So we have work to do, and we're committed and resolved to doing that.
Hi, Governor. Jocelyn with CBS 47. Just a follow-up to that, with the Central Valley in general, the vaccination rates are significantly lower to parts of the Bay Area, Southern California. Is that a concern for you here? And is there a certain point where you would consider a statewide mask mandate, like a certain positivity rate or a certain hospitalization rate?
If we can get more people vaccinated, that answer is unequivocal. We won't need it. Let's get vaccinated. I don't know what more evidence you need than this Delta strain. I mean, listen, has anyone listened to the interviews of people that are in the hospital and ICUs? They'd say their one regret is why the hell did I not get vaccinated? I mean, listen to these folks. Don't listen to some of these talking heads on some of these networks. I mean, listen to these lives that are, on the verge of being lost. Listen to the experts, not some of these pundits and the misinformation machines that are magnified, unfortunately, increasingly in an ideological way. just as masking itself was weaponized. And so I forgive me for being a little indignant. We don't have to do that if we just take advantage of these life-saving vaccines that the vast majority of the globe is desperate for. And yet we had to incentivize with over $100 million to encourage people to take. And so I think we will get through this. We're not looking to do any physical distancing, any social distancing. We're not looking to close anything down. We're fully committed to getting our kids back in school in person for instruction. But we need to get more people vaccinated.
Governor, go back to the topic in internet. Do you have any plans to as a financial assistance to families who doesn't have any connection on internet, but they don't have a lot of money to pay a service like this?
Yeah. No, in fact, I imagine the legislative leaders want to talk more about that because our Lifeline program and some of the subsequent work we have alluded to. Maybe we can fill in the blanks on what we're working on for ongoing subsidies and supports beyond just the infrastructure investments that we are announcing here today. And if you want to take that, Supervisor, as well, just talk a little, maybe preview some of the work we're doing together on that, and I'll fill in the blanks as well.
Thank you for that question. It's an excellent question. We had to leave a number of issues unresolved because it's a three-party negotiation between the governor, the Assembly, and the Senate. And exactly what you raised is the issue, which is the Lifeline services, which provide a discounted rate for people who can't afford the high rates. And also there are resources that go out that provide an opportunity for the internet providers to offer some different services. So yes, we're working on it. We go back into session in a month, and I expect that we'll be finishing up that work within about 28 days after that, because then we recess. But more to come on that. We're working on a whole number of issues. That one's principal among them. So thank you for that question. Can I say it in Spanish?
Yes, please.
Okay. En este momento lo que estamos celebrando es la firma del gobernador sobre para expandir la oportunidad de tener el internet, ¿verdad? Sabemos que muchas comunidades no tienen el internet, pero hay algunos asuntos que todavía tenemos que solucionar. Y es una negociación entre el gobernador, la Asamblea y el Senado. Y es precisamente para discutir cómo vamos a ayudar a las familias que no tienen los recursos para pagar por el internet, por el servicio. Tenemos un plan que se llama Lifeline, que ayuda a los que no pueden pagar el precio a recibir el servicio mientras reciben el servicio. So, vamos a platicar un poco más, solucionar el asunto y vamos a poder regresar y explicar qué es lo que estamos haciendo. Pero hay que tener confianza que ya lo tenemos en la mente y vamos a llegar a un acuerdo uno de estos días. Muchas gracias.
It's a big part of our commitment. We recognize the upfront investments, but we have ongoing issues of equity. And by the way, I just should note, take advantage of this. People may actually have cable bills they can't afford right now. People may have water bills and electric bills they can't afford. People may not know how they're going to pay their back rent. California, because of their leadership, has put up $7.2 billion to pay for your cable bills, your electric and water bills, and your rent going back to April of last year and paying 100% going forward to September 30th of this year. I'll repeat that. We put aside $7.2 billion to pay 100% of your utilities and your rent if you've been impacted by COVID-19. And I want folks to not only be made aware of that, but to take advantage of this extraordinary opportunity to address principal stress that people have in their lives, the ability to keep a roof over their head and be able to pay their monthly bills. You can go to covid19.ca.gov, covid19.ca.gov, or housingiskey.com and learn more. By the way, emphasis on 2 sites that require access to the internet, reinforcing why we're here today to address that divide, which is so foundational in terms of people accessing these lifelines and supports as well.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Senator. The other question is about the drought in California, and in this Central Valley is suffering for these kind of the things. So, do you have any resort for agriculture or families who in this moment doesn't have water, like a Stepping Stone, like another cities around Tulare County?
Well, we put $1.3 billion specifically for safe drinking water in this year's budget. We did something that took a few years, but we got it done a year or so ago, and that's created a safe drinking water fund to have safe, reliable, and clean drinking water. We created a separate fund to deal with ongoing operational needs, particularly for smaller districts with single sources. We have, to date, 496 communities that we have supported through grant funds and other technical assistance to address their safe drinking water needs. We've identified an additional 196 that were in the planning phase and partnering to work through issues. These single source wells are the source of tremendous stress and anxiety, exampled here recently with the system Tombstone bound now back up, as you know. But this was played out in previous droughts, and we recognize the vulnerability of our system, and that's why we're putting real dollars up, and we're getting dollars out in the immediate with emergency grants and supports, medium term, and then these longer term strategies that center around consolidating these smaller systems and beginning to manage and organize them in a way where there's more redundancy and there's more capacity to weather in a more resilient manner the vagaries of these droughts.
Hello, Lauren Jennings with the Visalia Times Delta. I have that you were in an interview with Cal Matters on May 17th, and you discussed this exact matter, and it said that there was still work to be done with legislation. I was just wondering if you guys could discuss what you guys have done over the past 2 months working on this specific issue, and the roadblocks even last week. You said that there were still some uncertainties. Can you guys discuss that and get into that?
Well, specific to safe drinking water? Or this specific of the broadband?
Sorry, broadband internet.
Oh, good. No, well, safe drinking, we got $1.3 billion, which was significant. No, I mean, maybe you could talk about some of the pratfalls without maybe exposing too many of them. We're here in the spirit of, looking forward, not backwards. But anyway.
Come on up here. Thank you for that question, because there were some difficulties during this period of time. As you know, we all represent different areas of the state of California. We don't want anyone left behind. And so we did a lot of negotiations and how could we make sure that everybody was accounted for and that was moving forward. So whether it was talking about what we call the middle mile, meaning getting the fiber in the ground, how are we going to do that? How is it going to be in the urban communities? It's much different because they already might have fiber. In the rural areas where it's the topography is much different, it might take more time. So we had discussions along that line. How are we going to get it from the fiber to someone's home or to their business? Are we going to look at entrepreneurship? Are we going to look at current ISPs doing that? So there's a lot of conversation on how to do that. We want to make sure my colleague Megan Dolly up in the far north, up in Siskiyou County, how is she going to do it? She is in a very difficult area as well, and she already has a successful company up there called Plumas Electric, and they're doing that right now. So we really had to sit down and really look at the entire picture, and I think we did a really good job. I will say that the governor's strategic plan really gave us a good foundation to work off of. And so as far as I'm concerned, he had 85–90% of it there, and we're just trying to fine tune it. So thank you for the question. Would you like to talk here?
Yeah, so I think the nuts and bolts, over $3 billion for middle mile infrastructure, $2 billion for last mile, which includes urban and rural, covers the whole state, and then $750 million for loan loss reserve to ensure that rural counties who are very critical to expending their own municipal broadband, even without subsidies and even without support, now have the support to do that. And I understand RCRC is already putting together a joint powers agreement to do that. But the overarching goal here was to break up the monopolies that we had seen, to promote more competition, to ensure that we are empowering local governments, focusing on unserved first and underserved. And those were the nuts and bolts of it all, but ensuring that it's not just a rural or urban issue, it's an all of us issue. And so we're really glad to be a part of this, the three of us.
And I think part of the reason that that it was difficult to do is whenever you change the way the system works, it creates anxiety, and particularly anxiety for companies that have a model that they've been using. And I've been in an elected position long enough so that I remember when the cable companies had to negotiate with local government over their service. What channels were we going to get? How much was it going to cost? And that ended in, I want to say 2006, when the state passed legislation that created a franchise. And so the franchise agreement says you don't have to negotiate with local government anymore. You get this franchise, but you have to promise that you won't redline any districts. And then the data they have to give to the California Public Utilities Commission is data that that really doesn't tell us where are Californians receiving service and where are they not. And so part of what we've been asking for is more detailed, because if you look at the data, 98% of the state is getting covered. But as you've heard over during the pandemic, is that there were places where high-speed internet was just not available, and the internet service that was available was totally inadequate. And so, so we've been trying to reorganize how we look at that data, how it's presented, where it goes to, and we're putting local government back at the table with the CPUC to make sure we're getting really good data. So we believe that all of this together with the middle mile and then the last mile as part of the program is going to give us enough information so we can make good choices about where we should be spending the money, how we're providing services, and making sure that all Californians can receive it if it's physically possible to do it. So.
Any closing thoughts?
Yay.
Just gratitude and humility as well, because we have a lot of work to do. No one's spiking the ball, we recognize, not dissimilar to addressing some of the vagaries of this crisis with all these mutations we're monitoring, not just the Delta variant, that good enough never is. And so this is an important moment, important milestone, a lot of work to do, a lot more accountability that's in store at all levels of government, local, state, tribal, not just federal. We have a lot work to do as well to continue to fulfill the promise of ongoing affordability in addition to that, and that's where we will turn our attention when we get back into session. So with that, it's just a real honor to be here in Tulare County. It's a real honor to be here with you, Mr. Superintendent. This is exactly where we should be for a big announcement like this, and I'm incredibly grateful to all of you for taking the time to be with us and to be part of this. Thank you all.